Okay. All right, let me give you host access now, Ed, or do you want to give it to someone else?
What's that?
Who do you want to give host someone else? Or you want to
Give me the host. I'll be the host. Yeah.
Okay, very good.
I was wondering what was going on. I was like, hold on, I can't let anybody in.
All right, yes. Okay, there you go. Can you confirm that you got it?
Yeah, looks good.
Okay, all right. You all have a good meeting.
So we're recording right now?
Yep. You see do you see a red dot on the top of the screen
I don't.
where it says you see where Mary Ellen is on the screen?
All right, got it.
Okay. All right. Everybody have a good day. Good evening. Bye-bye.
Night, Pablo.
All right, hello, everybody. This meeting will come to order. Welcome, everybody, to the Bronx Community Board 8 Public Safety Committee meeting. My name is Ed Green, Chair of the committee. I'm just going to do a committee member roll call. Chris Calhoun.
Good evening, everybody.
Mary Ellen Gibbs.
Good evening, present.
I'm here. Bob Kaplan. You here, Bob? I don't see Bob. Scott Crumpinger.
Present.
Sergio Villaverde.
Present.
All right. So, Secretary's draft of the minutes was sent to each of you. So we didn't have a quorum last month, so we have two sets of minutes that we need to approve. We have March's and April, so I assume everybody got them. Does anybody have any questions about them, corrections, anything? Nope. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
Second.
I second it.
Okay, anybody who's opposed or abstaining, speak now or raise your hand. I don't hear anyone. I don't see anyone. So these minutes are approved unanimously. And the, give me a second. Next, oh, is anybody from the 50th here yet? Holy moly. All right.
That might be the 929 number.
50th, are you here? I don't see anybody from the 50th. That would be kind of crazy. Well, Greg's here. Hey, Greg, how are you? I'm going to go out of order here and do the FDNY report since I don't see anybody from the 50th right now, which is a little strange. But Greg, what's up? You got anything for us?
Yeah, no, nothing special. I mean, we continue to have issues. I'm just returning right now from a third alarm regarding a e-bike fires adjacent to a frame house. So that is an ongoing issue. It is an everyday occurrence, multiple times throughout the city. I would say don't store those things anywhere near combustibles. They're volatile, and there's so many of them throughout the city. It's just it's inevitable that one's going to be in an area near you. Other than that, you'll see the units typically doing building inspection. And then around this time of the year, we inspect the hydrants for the not necessarily for the DEP, but we don't do the repairs, but we do inspections of all hydrants in the area twice a year, in the spring and in the fall. So we're just about finishing that up, and also finishing up the bridges and tunnels auxiliary fire suppression systems at this time. So that's what you see the units out there doing other than emergency response right now. That's all I have for you.
Okay, did you hear anything about new battery for the ion batteries? They were proposing new legislation for this, and is that going anywhere that you know of?
I haven't heard anything advancing. There's lots of ideas, but in terms of anything that's been concrete, and moved forward, not that I'm aware of.
Okay, does anybody from the committee have any questions for FDNY? Greg Lair, Mary Ellen Gibbs.
Hi, Gregory. How are you? Thank you for your
Good.
service. I just have a couple of things. One of them is fire escapes. Isn't there a certain paint that's supposed to be? They just painted our fire escapes, but they always do everything backwards in my building. It's shiny. They painted it shiny black. And aren't they supposed to scrape it first and then paint it when they we be doing those for safety?
Yeah, typically what they would do is, the contractor comes out, they take a look at it, they look at the wells, they look if there's any flaws and stuff like that. You would scrape, you would paint, yes.
It's so pitted.
Yeah, so, I'm not saying that they would necessarily scrape all portions, but those portions that would require scraping is typically done by the contractor. And then, any repairs, the wells that need to be done, and then they would paint over that.
Because I don't think the paint is correct. It's really shiny. I mean, if it get,
No,
Red
shiny is
shiny?
it's very common, very
Yeah.
common through the fire escapes, yeah.
I just don't want somebody go flying down the fire escape and fire, God forbid, right?
No, it is very commonly done in a shiny gloss black or a gloss orange or green.
Right, it's a shiny.
That's very
gloss
common,
white.
yeah.
Okay, thanks. And the other thing is, aren't the doors like to the staircases, aren't they supposed to be, like, after we had the big fires, doors don't close, make sure you close the doors? Our doors are not closing, they're open, like, they don't close all the way.
You're talking specifically about the stairwell doors to the public halls? Is that
Yes.
what you're referring to?
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, they're supposed to be self-closing. So when you release the door automatically swings closed. They're typically done with a barrel hinge. There's a couple of ways you can do it. You can do a piston on the door, or you can do like a barrel hinge. If you look at those big fat hinges, if you have those on the door, those requires occasional adjustment. The springs, lose a little tension, and it's just a twist of a certain portion of that, and you'll add tension to it. And if it goes bad, they can replace that.
Because we keep on getting him to
similar
fix
hinge.
it and he doesn't do it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a typical routine maintenance
Thanks.
for that building. Why don't you give me the address, and
Sure.
I'll have Eunice take a look at it.
3220
Okay.
Netherland Avenue, that's between 232 and 235.
Yep.
And my last one before you hate me, I think I brought this up to you before. It's like the lint coming out of the laundry room, and that can really cause fire. Coming, and it's right underneath all the recycle, no less, up sky high. It's like Rapunzel, let your hair down, and we keep telling them, you gotta clean that out. And it's going from all the way from the laundry room, coming out, I mean, you choke to death with all that lint in the laundry room, goes out, comes out of that vent, and it's hanging down all the time. It needs to
Okay,
be-
so let me just ask you a couple of questions, just to sort of clarify. So your laundry room is located in the basement. We're talking same address here, right? 3220 Netherland?
Yeah, it's actually, it's attached to the building. It's weird. If you walk out of the service entrance, right? He has the garbage, everything all piled up. It's a hot mess. And
Okay.
right next to that, you go into another door. That's the laundry room, but all the recycle is piled all the way up by the vent. So if that lint catches on fire and the lint's always hanging down like Rapunzel and all stuffed in those vents and everything, that's gonna be like a real fire hazard. But you can't tell the soup or anything because that's another problem. It's just crazy in there.
Yeah, so I would be less concerned necessarily about the lint actually venting into the garbage. Typically where we run into the issues is bends, elbows, things of that nature, where it collects within the
Yeah, it does, because
vent
that goes
stack
from the-
and
yeah.
close to the actual dryer. 'Cause
It
you're
is,
closest to the heat. Yeah, you're closest to the
sorry.
heat source at that point. And if you get buildup, that buildup, if it doesn't have good airflow, can actually ignite. It does happen from time to time. But I'll take a quick look at the building.
Yeah, because
I'll
that
look it
is
up
the
online.
problem, because in the laundry room, when you go in there, I can't even go in there anymore. That's how bad it is. You're actually choking on the lint dust from it. That's because it's all cut up in the dryer. It's not it being cleaned out. It's going up into that thing. And it's probably, it's gotta be in that, I don't know what you call that, but you just said that pipe that goes
Yeah.
up to there and when it's pretty
Yeah,
hazardous,
those require periodic vent cleaning.
but he doesn't know.
Yeah, it's not a difficult thing to do. It is very common that it gets neglected. But we are talking still same address, right? 3220?
Yes, please, thank you.
Yeah, no worries. I'll do a quick bit of research on the building itself, and then if need be, I'll have the units swing by and just do a check on the doors.
Awesome, thank you so much, Greg. Thank
Yeah,
you
no
for
worries.
getting this done.
No worries, my pleasure.
All right, we have two other hands up. Greg, you're popular all of a sudden. Scott Cronkite.
I shouldn't have answered the question. Go
Scott?
ahead.
Sorry,
Okay.
yeah, just real quick. The e-bikes, is there any particular brand that's more susceptible to combusting, or is it just all of them?
I would say we're still in the relatively new stages here. We have a lot of data collected. It does tend to be batteries that are not original to the device itself, replacement batteries. It's common also in the area where you have people that are doing ad hoc repairs to batteries and selling aftermarket parts that are not exactly specifically aligned to the requirements of the device they get input. Aftermarket chargers that don't quite match the battery charging rate, things of that nature. But all of that being said, that those things happen with as charging, while charging. They're typically charging in the path of egress. If you think like how people do use these in their apartments, right? You come in, you put it behind the door, it charges. But in addition to that, understand that these things are bouncing around the city streets on a constant basis. Every time they jump off a curb, hit a bump, etc., you're jostling those things. And every bit of an insult to those batteries that makes them unstable over time. And there is really no telling as to when it's going to occur. It is sudden, it is violent, and the reaction is something. We did play the video a couple of weeks back, or a couple of months ago, and that is not uncommon as to the reaction.
Wow.
It's stunning.
Right.
Chris, you got your hand up.
Yeah, just a question out of curiosity, Greg. I was wondering if these corner fire relay boxes, for the most part, are they all functional? And I guess the reason I asked the question is we have some very old ones, those cast iron ornate ones throughout the community. And I'm just curious, do they even work?
The ERS boxes are still functional, yes. There was a plan to get rid of them at one time, probably about 20 years ago or so, when I think around the time maybe we merged with EMS or something, there was a call to get rid of them. And then there was some backlash that said, like, why are you getting rid of this thing? Cell phones became more prevalent. But then, it's sort of like, well, how can you assume that someone has the cell phone? So they were left in place. You do see every now and then you'll see an FDNY communications truck come out and start servicing the wiring on them. So we do occasionally still get calls on them. It's far less frequent because of the prevalence of cell phones. Most people just call on a cell phone. But they do still work, and we do still get calls on them.
That answers my question. Thank you.
Yeah, and many of them were retrofitted. So the old ones typically had just a single handle pull, and it just activated an alarm to the dispatcher. It set a number of tones, and that's how they indicated which box it was. It had a specific location to the number of bells that rang on it. Most of those have been retrofitted with a push button that actually has a back and forth talking feature.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Chris. So Greg, I just have one question. So you know how NYPD has their CompStat report. I
Sure.
know PNY, you were giving us some type of statistical data in the past. What I'd be interested in moving forward is some type of I don't know if you guys do it monthly. I believe you do it monthly. So some type of statistical data on, what type of fires can be attributed, well, what the fires in general, but what type of fires can be attributed to the lithium ion batteries that are in these scooters, because it seems like, we just kind of want to assess, how dangerous this stuff is within our community and how,
Sure.
how often this stuff is happening, because we're hearing, we're reading stories about tragedies all over the place. So, it's kind of relevant at this point. Is there
Yeah,
any
no,
provide us
I
with
agree.
that?
I agree. Much of our statistical stuff, the application that was used at that time has been defunct for a period of time based on maybe the browser that we used. They were in the process of trying to put together a new application. I don't particularly have access to it right now. It's in a pilot program. I believe Rich does have access to it. I can send you that. That's going to give you a basic baseline as to number of fires this month compared to last month. It's not going to specify exactly what the cause of those fires were. If you have specific questions about specific fires, I can do a little research on each one of those. That's not really hard for me to do, but just a little bit of a heads up to me, and then I'll do a quick lookup on what those were and whether or not we had a known cause. And I can give that to you in a verbal report if you like.
Oh, okay, that would be great. Thanks. Oh, hold on 1 second. I got a couple of people coming in here. Yeah. Right. So this is a bit strange that the 50th precinct is not here. I kind of dropped the ball by letting Pablo get out of here without having them here. I texted Cesar Sala, but I haven't received a response from him yet. This might be the shortest meeting on record if they don't show up, but so I will say, Sergio, did you have a question? I saw you had your hands raised earlier.
No, I was just asking, I was gonna ask what the procedure is for personal issues on the call, but we'll talk about that offline.
Okay. So a couple of the complaints, even though the 50th is not here, I'm gonna bring up some of the complaints that came through to us. So we had, there was a report of a stolen van with public, this was strange too, because it had public library plates and it was illegally parked on Stevenson for several weeks. And it was reported that it was filled with garbage and rats were coming out of the thing. So, you know, either the plates were stolen or it was a city vehicle. I got an email today. There was a flurry of like last minute emails. From what I understand, Captain Saror is, you know, took care of it or is in the process of taking care of it. But that was one thing that was kind of strange. I thought that there was a van with public library plates covered with graffiti that supposedly had garbage and rats coming out of it. So I would have liked to have gotten some type of answer out of that tonight, but I think, I know they're aware of it. Yeah, I mean, a lot of these things are questions that I'm gonna kind of need the 50th for. Our Economic Development Chair, Nick Fazio, sent us, he did a little research, you know, with regards to some of these cannabis places that are popping up. And he said that our area has a cap of 36, I guess, licenses, but we have 50 establishments. So I think this has to do with e-cigarettes too. The e-cigarettes, oh no, that's totally different. E-cigarettes, the cap is 12, but we have 17. So a lot of these places really shouldn't even be allowed in the area, you know, according to the rules we have. So this was brought up by a business on Riverdale Avenue called Tabala, which is concerned about a place that's operating without a license that's opening up right next to them. So again, without the 50th precinct here, I don't really know how to address this. I'm gonna have to do that during the week, I guess, via email with them or phone call. We also had concerns about armed robberies in the neighborhood from a resident, and she didn't list any specific crime. Does any of this ring a bell to any of our committee members? No?
And I think there was an issue with someone on a scooter or a moped that
Right.
was robbing people. I don't know, that might be it. I know.
No, that's something else, but that was going on too. And Mary Ellen mentioned that last month too, that was something that was in the Riverdale Press. I don't believe they caught that individual. It was somebody on a moped that
I
was,
remember an armed robbery, but I forgot, I saw it on Citizens app, but I forgot exactly where it was.
well, it was in different areas and they're basically robbing.
Yeah,
people.
but it's a lot happening though.
It happened 3 or 4 times and it's the
Yeah.
same individual that they were looking for. Yeah, I mean, my big issue also was, you know, it's more of a bigger board issue, but to me, it's gonna be a public safety issue, is this Bronx Adult Sanctuary that is going to be put at the Van Cortlandt Motel. And I was curious, you know, what will the 50th precinct's role, if any, be with regards to that situation? Because that's a very unique situation for our area. So again, with no 50th precinct here, it's kind of hard to get answers for these, you know, until next month. But does anybody have any questions or anything? We don't have any SLAs committee. I see Belinda's iPad for the public. Belinda?
Hi. I have a question. I live down the block from the softball field on Broadway and 262nd. Now, apparently they have to contact somebody so that there's no conflicts as to who has bids to using the field on the weekend. My question is, I was taking a walk early Sunday morning and I'm seeing people who are setting up for the softball game, taking the pylon cones from out of the streets for, I guess, maybe holes so that people either don't fall or cars don't hit a pothole, and they're blocking off the fields there. And I think, I don't know whether that's an issue or not. That unfortunately, as you said, the 50th isn't there. But I mean, if they're taking pylons that are obviously put there for safety reasons, shouldn't they be held accountable? Or I mean, do they have to have like permission to use the ball field?
They would probably have to have permits as far as I can tell, but again, that would be a question, I guess, for the 50th precinct. I would think they would have to have permits if they were taking over the field like that and putting pylons out, but
Yeah, but I saw a guy actually taking a pylon from the corner of 262nd Street, where 6661 is, and because I think there's like some holes or divots where people, put there for a safety matter so people don't trip coming up on the street. He's lifting them up and then taking them over to the field.
okay, so I'll register that, I'll bring that to the 50th. Like I said,
I appreciate that.
We were
Thank
here
you.
tonight, but that I'll let them know what your concerns are and hopefully I'll have an answer for you. I saw you here last meeting. Hopefully we'll see you again next and maybe your question will be answered.
All right, thank you so much.
Beth Levin has her hand up.
Hi,
Hi.
I was wondering about the abandoned property that's on 261st Street and Riverdale Avenue. It's been abandoned for decades. But the overgrowth and the fence falling down and now the tree is blocking the walk sign. I don't know the status of that property and what's going on, but it seems like a hazard that I can't see the walk sign to cross that street, and it's not an easy crosswalk over there.
Is that the area that they're proposing the shelter for, or?
I don't think so. It's on the block of the Hebrew home. It's on across from Nona's Pizzeria. It's there's a row of white houses, and then the corner house on 261st and Riverdale Avenue has been abandoned for decades. I mean, it's overgrown. It's I don't know the status of the property, but I do know crossing the street today that I could not see the walk sign. And I don't know if that's for this committee, but I just thought I would mention it.
I guess so. That's what was going to be my question. What would be your specific complaint if I was going to relay that to the 50th?
I guess what's the responsibility of the owner of the property to maintain it? And if it's not owned by if it's taken over and it's abandoned for so many decades, if it becomes a hazard that we're walking through, possibly tick-filled large areas of growth, and the fence is falling over and it smells like urine over there, what's going on with that property if it's been decades already, that we have to pass through, those of us who work over there or near Mount St. Vincent. It's just kind of like just sitting there seems to be not a good situation.
Okay, so I just got a text that Lieutenant Haney is going to be on this call. Hopefully he comes on soon.
Okay.
So maybe that can be answered tonight. Sergio, you have your hand up.
Yeah, I just did want to say things like that, just to remind everybody, call 311, then the board office, because they take complaints on abandoned property. So have, your neighbors call, keep track of the numbers, and then you can get it to our chair, or the office directly. And that's an easier way to track it because they are responsible. But, it's much easier for everything with the 311 complaints.
Thank you, I will.
Yeah, he's absolutely right. I usually make that announcement too, that for any type of quality of life complaints, call 311 to report the issue and then email Bronx Community Board 8 office with the details, and we can follow up with the appropriate city agency afterwards. Any other hands? Okay, so I'm hoping this Lieutenant Haney, because we've kind of, we've run out of an agenda here. This is highly unusual that this meeting is gonna be so quick, but Camelia, how are you?
Ed,
I-
nice to see you.
Nice to
Ed.
see you. Nice to see you too. I have to do a stand-up routine here or something. I have a very unusual night where the 50th didn't show up and we have no SLAs. So this meeting is going by very quickly and I'm waiting for, I just received a text from the 50th that Lieutenant Haney is supposed to be here, but so I hope he
Let
gets.
me help you fill up just one moment.
Sure.
Here.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, just wanted to share a personal experience with the lady speaking before about an abandoned property. Definitely follow Sergio's suggestion as far as the 311 so that you have a complaint with a number. But also it happened to me on a commercial corridor where I had a similar situation, and it was the case even though the property seems abandoned, which it might well be in terms of usage. If there's a person, for example, that passed away, the city has a very extensive process of trying to find people that may be related to the person that passed away because they cannot basically take over, and it's a very long administrative process to do this. So definitely, but the city also has a way to, we had a situation of overgrown ivy, poison ivy, etc. So the 311 should help if there is a matter of a tree branch or whatever, preventing visibility of a traffic sign, etc. So just I wanted to support what Sergio said and yeah, for this to be put into the city record through a 311.
Thanks, Camelia. I just wanted to mention also, so at the end of last month, it was just really a couple of weeks ago's meeting, we discussed, we got a query letter from a cannabis retail dispensary and, you know, asking how this area felt about having their legal cannabis business in, and we wanted to give them an opportunity to come before our committee. So we did reach out to them, but we haven't received a response back from them. So possibly next month from them on that. All right, so I guess it's just a question of how long we're gonna give Officer Haney to get here. Because I don't want to try to sit here and ad lib for 10-15 minutes waiting for a 50th precinct representative who I don't really know when he's gonna show up. So
You could sing us a song, Ed.
that I don't do songs. But if anybody else here would like to.
Ed, don't you feel like you're on the evening news and the floor manager is going just stretch it out?
Sounds about right. That sounds about right. But committee, anything you guys want to bring up? Or the public? While we give Officer Lieutenant Haney a few minutes to get here. Otherwise, I think I'm gonna call this a night.
I'll make a motion to close.
Move to
Okay.
adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Do we have a second?
You got a second?
Okay, so with that, the motion's adjourned and hopefully we'll have a representative next month at the 50th precinct. This is just really quickly, this is weird because I've in the 3 years, well, actually in the 5 years I've been on this committee. I think this is only the second time that the 50th has not shown up.
And I think he's here. I think the officer is here.
I don't. Where, oh, are you looking at Greg? Greg is the fire department.
Is we're on
Oh,
double
my
nights.
apologies. Your motion
yeah.
is
Greg already stretched our meeting out with his excellent FDMI report. So with
Greg-
that,
Yeah, no worries,
Sing
no
us a song.
insult. My brother's a cop.
with that, this meeting is adjourned. Thanks everybody for coming out.
All
Thank
right,
you,
thank
everyone.
you. Good evening.
Thank
all.
you, Thank you, Ed.
Take care.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Say good night, John Boy. Good night, Mary Ellen.